Hello everyone, my name is LeWaffles. Welcome back to another Maplestory event guide. With the Ignition patch arriving in global Maplestory, the Cygnus Knights finally received their long-awaited Redux. Alongside the Redux, we got a handful of updates like Monster Park Extreme coming at the end of November, Burning World's Return, which is even more useful than last time, additional job balances, and a couple of universal skill changes. With this patch update, a couple of new events have also started and will be with us all the way until the first week of February. This is the Ignition Flame Festival event, and I'll be trying my best to go over what we have in store for us for the coming months, or at least in part 1 of this event. Now you may or may not know that there's actually a side event going on alongside the Ignition Festival called the Clover Guild event, and I'm not really going to go over this as it's just a simple coin shop with a currency that has a stupid low drop rate. Since this festival goes all the way until February, you would expect a handful of features that will assist with the growth of your characters, and this event doesn't disappoint. From a battle pass system to temporary stat boosts to weekly and monthly missions that will give you more currency, this event has pretty much everything, even an atmospheric buff that will cast at the 30-minute mark of every hour. Every day you're going to want to hit your daily coin limit of 300 for the Ignition Flame Festival via the daily missions. This doubles up to 600 on Sundays. And remember to claim your stamp for the event. It didn't do this automatically for the last battle pass event and it still doesn't, so be wary. The coin limit is tied to your character, so for those of you who like to buy out the whole coin shop, get those meals ready. You're also going to want to try and hit your daily coin limit for the Clover coins as well. Emphasis on try. I was only able to get about 10 Clovers and about 3,000 mob kills, which is pretty bad. Ignition coins are tied to your characters, meaning that you can coin cap on multiple characters if you wish. However, this is the opposite for the Clover Guild event, as those Clovers are tied to the world. In addition to coin capping, Starbridge and Spot the Difference are also making a return for this event, and come bundled with an EXP reward that is quite helpful for those level 200 alts. Alongside the dailies, every week you're going to want to take out your weekly bosses. Doing so will allow you to claim the other type of currency for the Ignition Festival, Flare Coins, capping at 400 per week. You can take these bosses out solo, or you can tackle them in a party if you must. However, do be careful if you decide to party up for this, as being dead when the boss is defeated will not only lock you out of the boss until the next weekly reset, you also won't be able to claim the weekly mission reward in your event UI. Past the weekly missions, there are also monthly missions that will reward you with additional Ignition coins that go beyond your daily cap. These monthly missions reset every 4 weeks, not to be confused with the start of the month. The first reset will be happening on December the 13th at reset, and the second one will be happening on January the 10th. To start this event, you'll need to be at least level 101. Zeros will need to have completed up to Chapter 2. By completing the quest World Best Mr. Ignition via your Star tab, you'll gain access to the Ignition Flame Festival event alongside the event map. This will additionally give you access to the free atmospheric buff that automatically casts at the 30-minute mark of every hour. There are 2 available atmospheric buffs for this event, and you will receive one or the other based on the hour of the day. The Flame Festival buff is a stat boost that can help you take out bosses more quickly, available on every odd number hour of the day. It provides 15 attack, magic attack, all stat, boss damage, and IED for 30 minutes, whereas Selena's buff is an EXP variant, and it will be available at every even hour of the day. This buff also will last 30 minutes, and has the courtesy of not being removed if you happen to disconnect from the game. Now, a very popular trick that many players use is the fact that these buffs have a 10-minute window for you to grab the buff. So when it comes time to grab the Selena buff, for example, many players opt to grab it at the 30-minute mark and proceed to re-grab it at the end of the 10-minute window, at the 39-minute mark. Doing this will allow you to increase your time with the atmospheric buff by an additional 9 to 10 minutes, and over time, that adds up. In addition to the atmospheric buffs, you'll also gain access to the Ignition Festival event UI via your Star tab. Let's take a quick look at that. Your total coin count can be seen in the top left. You can also see your progress on the daily coin capacity for the day along with your progress on the Ignition Battle Pass when you first open the UI. On the first and the 4th day on the Battle Pass week, you'll be given blaze points to add to your temporary stats, which you can find in the furthest tab. On the 7th day of every week, you'll be able to claim the reward for the respective line. Now, in regards to the temp stats, each level you invest your blaze points into for that specific stat will raise the potency of it. However, will cost more and more blaze points the higher you go. It costs a total of 105 blaze points in order to max out the given stat, which is quite pricey. For the event's whole lifespan, I'd say you're only going to be able to obtain about 280 to 300 blaze points maximum, which is only enough to max out 2 skills. And even then, I still wouldn't recommend the average player to do so, unless you're very dedicated to it, since the 5th level is quite expensive. I personally will be only taking my chosen passive stats to level 4, then moving on to the next. Now the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th UI in your event tab will reflect your daily, weekly, and monthly missions, and will be how you actually get your coins for the event. Once you complete a mission, you can claim them manually or auto-complete all eligible missions in one go. Now for those of you who are planning to complete your Arcane Symbol and Sacred Symbol dailies alongside coin capping, you have one thing going for you. Flame Group Dance is a side event mission found in your star tab, and after a short dialogue you'll be given a passive skill that will occasionally fill a gauge as you take out monsters near your level. Once the gauge is complete, a small or sometimes big AoE attack will happen around you. You'll also gain a little bit of bonus EXP for doing this. What's more is that a daily mission is actually tied to filling this gauge 5 times, which can be easily done while you're completing your symbol dailies. However, for those of you looking for an extra push, well, you have options. You can find minigames at the right side of the event map by talking to Spiegelman. From now until the end of the month, Starbridge will be making a return, only to be replaced by Spot the Difference, another returning minigame. Now these minigames can contribute to your daily coin caps, especially on mules, which are far weaker than your main. However, its primary purpose are for the EXP that you can get twice a day. It does require you to be level 200 in order to access, but the experience is quite impressive. As a level 202, for example, you can get 55% in just 2 runs. Now the other minigame that you can participate in is Skiff Sovereign, which happens at the 15 and 45 minute mark of every hour, and it's essentially a PvP minigame where you knock opponents off the map. And while it doesn't reward you with anything experience-wise, it is yet another way for you to obtain event coins without needing to be strong enough to hunt monsters. There are also rewards that are tied to this minigame specifically, which include cosmetic weapons and chairs, along with some monthly missions requiring you to achieve a certain amount of points in the minigame alone. Now, the daily missions that you complete, whether it be via the minigames available at the time of the event, or just by doing your dailies, you'll eventually attract yourself to the left side of the map, which is where all 3 coin shops are. As this event does go on until the end of January, you can see that we've been supplied with a handful of high-quality items. Premium variant pet and accessory scrolls found in the Meso and the Flare coin shop, a selection of enhancement items found in the Ignition coin shop, Experience Node, ICSOGs, Sacred Symbols, and many more. Additionally, since this event is tied to the Cygnus Knight Redux, you can also find their dedicated outfits alongside the Alliance Commander outfit returning from the Black Mage event back in 2018. Now there are a handful of items that are limited in quantity per world, however some of these smaller event items like the Daily Hyper Teleport Rock and Symbols are limited quantity per character. Conveniently, some of the items like the enhancement items are transferable via your storage as well. Some players are taking this to their advantage, creating and training up a character in Burning World in order to purchase items that are limited quantity per world, only to retrieve those items by transferring their Burning World character to their dedicated server in February. Items like Karma Eternal Flames, Black Flames, and Meister Cubes are eligible for this rule, along with that 10% EXP title that is not part of the event but part of the Maple Guide system. That item is eligible for this rule as well. Ignition marks the penultimate patch in the series of updates following Maplestory's current lore location, Grandis, and it's likely that the final patch for this series will be tailored around the Resistance class. Regardless, that's for later. Ignition as a whole is probably one of the bigger patches that we receive throughout the year, and it's definitely up there with things like the Destiny patch. The events are also very comparable to each other, both going for a lengthy amount of time along with storing very highly sought after items. In addition to this, we also have Odium coming up for 275 players, and unfortunately, content will most likely continue to be locked behind the next expected level. After all, if Nexon doesn't continue expanding the endgame, how else will they keep their player base? At the end of the day, Maplestory is not a competition or a race, it's a game. And you play games because they're fun. At least I hope so. What, you think I haven't been playing the game because I haven't uploaded for a whole year? Jeez.
These Twitch streamers, man.
Oh god! What is it? What is it? What is it? What is it?
What
the f am I supposed to? What am I supposed to do?